So one of the major considerations to getting a good yield in our field crops like soybean and cotton is making sure that we're on top of our nematode populations. There are several different nematodes that can affect our field crops, including root knot nematode, soybean cyst nematode, and lesion nematode. So not only are they important to us whenever they're in high populations, even at low populations, they can be causing us some damage that are impacting yield. In this field, we're looking at Maloidogyne and Terralobii, and that's that new invasive root knot nematode that came from China. It has a really broad host range and mimics things like southern root knot nematode. The difference being that it's much more aggressive. You can tell where I'm standing there's a hot spot because there's a lot less plants here and they're much more stunted compared to the other plots adjacent. In this field, we're looking at both soybean and cotton, and we're looking at different varieties and controls like aldicarb, fluopyram, and other nematicides that might be labeled in the future for soybean and cotton nematode control. So our hope is that we can find different things to manage these populations and get a good yield while not breaking the bank. The biggest thing that we can do right now to help manage those nematode populations is get a good understanding for what nematodes are in a field. So in this field, I would want to take samples from the soil and make sure we know what our populations are at. And to do that, you want to use a soil core and get a good representation of the field. If you can take about 20 cores in a random pattern across the field, and homogenize that, submit a sample to a soil nematode assay lab to get those counts. That'll help a lot. If you're just going to take regular nematode samples, taking those in the fall is the best time to get those population numbers for threshold management. So another diagnostic feature of things like root knot nematode is if we pull up plants, we can see significant galling, whereas with soybean cyst nematode, those are actually on the surface of the roots, but galls are actually within the roots. If you have fields that look like this, where you see stunting and chlorosis, it's a good idea to get someone out to take a look at your field and try to help you get some nematode samples to evaluate what problems you may need to manage. If you have any more questions about nematode management, check out our information on the soybean portal and the cotton portal, because there's lots of great information there for managing things like root knot nematode. Another great resource is the Soybean Cyst Coalition. There's a second coming of the Soybean Cyst Coalition that now we have another resource for things like looking at HG types and different things to manage soybean cyst nematode. And not only soybean cyst, we're looking at managing other nematodes like reniform nematode, lesion nematode, and root knot nematode in soybeans.